You've got to be kidding. Have you been watching the stock market? Of course, everyone has. And everyone's affected, either directly or indirectly. But people that are retired have a little bit of a different take. You see, retirement living is different. There's limited opportunity to create more income beyond retirement savings. What we've saved is what we have, in most cases. And there's a shortened time frame to recover from the significant financial losses. So even though the market can rebound, we may not have enough time for it to fully recover. Consequently, a recent study showed that 85% of people are worried about running out of money in retirement, regardless of income age. So those that have a lot of money worry, and those that don't have a lot of money worry. But for me, it's personal. I'm Marv Overman, and I'm a 69-year-old boomer. I hate it when I see us boomers living through the ups and downs of retirement life without knowing what will happen next. So I'm stepping up to the plate to do something to help us boomers. Just like you, I worked my whole life to provide for my family and prepare for retirement. Seems like some decisions I made ended up wrong simply because the circumstances were outside of my control. Regardless of what I thought things would happen one way. Things didn't happen that way, and so I became frustrated. If only I had known what was going to happen, I might have made different decisions. Sounds like utopia, right? We all wish that. But I had no visibility into the future effects of the decisions that I made, and when I planned for future finances, I was only able to look at historical information and generalized future hypotheticals. By that, I mean, if you look at it and you want to invest in a particular product, then you can say, this is what it has done. This is factually what it has done in the past based upon certain market conditions. So we think that going forward is probably going to perform this way, usually continuing on with the same path. But there's no way to see the future of my specific personal situation. All I can do is look at the generalized future hypotheticals and say, well, I hope it works out. Basically, planning while being blindfolded. So my plan was I reoriented my company, Retire with Respect LLC, to focus on being a retirement coach. I was using my experience as a finance, economics, and business professor to coach boomers and other people. I expanded my licenses to provide a full value to boomers because I wanted to be able to have the technical expertise of knowing what I talked about and a license to back up so that they would know that I had been certified in the areas of securities, insurance, Medicare, long-term care, prescription drugs, dental, vision, pretty much anything that we needed from a financial perspective. I wanted to be able to bring that value to boomers. But as I thought about it, I thought, you know what? I learned to run computer simulations at NASA. For example, you could simulate how many resources are you going to need to be able to predict human flight to Mars and back. Well, what about if I could apply what I learned at NASA to run retirement simulations? Essentially simulate the resources that would be needed to predict retirement future life while avoiding going broke. How that would work is, let's say you wanted to predict human flight to Mars. In the middle, you see a diagram that shows the schematic of the trip from Earth on the left to Mars and back again. You had a timeline. You know, this is when I was going to start the mission. These are the major events. Perhaps we had planned on stopping off at the moon on the way, be able to pick up supplies perhaps, or be able to then continue on and get to Mars, do some circling around Mars and even land on Mars and then come back. And you had a projected end date of the mission, when the mission would be completed. So you had a complete timeline, but you also had uncontrollable events. You could have meteor damage, for example, that you didn't really anticipate. Or you could have equipment malfunction. Remember Apollo 13? Or you could have crew illness. And there are many other uncontrollable events that you kind of have to plan for. So we would run a simulation of the resources, food, water, air, and we would determine, based upon all of the mission timeline and possible uncontrollable events, then we also then could figure out how much resources are we going to need at the beginning, how are they going to be replenished as we go along, and how much is the consumption or how much is going to be used, so that we could make sure that we did not run out of these resources, because humans, they're critical for human life, that we didn't run out before the end of the mission. So we were predicting human flight to Mars. Well, we could do the same thing for retirement future. You have in the middle the chart of kind of a gap of what is happening in a typical retirement life. You have a timeline. We either have already started retirement or a date that we think we want to start retirement. We have personal major events. Maybe you want to go on a cruise, or you plan on at some point selling your house to downsize into a smaller house, or perhaps other things that you want to be able to do. And then we set up an estimated end date or death. We use age 90 just for planning purposes, although that can be adjustable. So we have a timeline on which the retirement future would be. We also have uncontrollable events, stock market crash. I mean, the stock market's all over the place today. So we have those things that we need to account for. We as boomers are moving, and we have our health is much more volatile, much more declining on a regular basis. So we know there's going to be health crises, and so we need to plan for those. Tax changes. Yeah, we certainly didn't anticipate the changes that happened this year for retirement, but they did happen. It's an uncontrollable event that we can't wait. Well, so we would run a computer simulation of our resources, income, expenses, savings, taxes, and things like that. And so we would run it from the timeline from start to end, putting in the factor of control to determine if, based upon the amount of money that we have, the savings and the income and all these resources, how much is going to be replenished during the time, how much is available, how much are we spending, what is the probability or what are the chance that we're going to have enough money so that we can avoid going broke. And it's very simple to do that. So my plan was to use my skills that I developed at NASA as a computer modeling consultant and use a financial planning tool that I already have available to run computer simulations of each person's retirement future. You're probably thinking you already have an advisor you like, right? Well, actually, you don't have to change advisors to get insight into your retirement. As your retirement coach, I will help you predict your retirement future regardless of if I am your advisor or not. We can still look at what it helps to help your situation to make sure that you can avoid going broke, and you simply take the information and apply it to your own account. So today I want to talk to you about how to predict your retirement future and avoid the worry of going broke, using computer simulation techniques that I learned while working at NASA. You're probably thinking, how does this affect you, right? Well, actually, chances are you have been making decisions like I was without seeing the future effect of those decisions. This is a way to give you some visibility into it. So let's take a look at a couple of scenarios. The demographic of our first scenario, Steve and Sarah, they're married, they're age 64, so they're right on the edge of getting ready to retire. So essentially their retirement is pretty much set at this point. Their life expectancy age 90, they want to retire at age 67. Their salaries are $110,000 and $75,000. Their monthly expenses in retirement, they anticipate will be around $9,000. And they have an invested assets of $938,000 in qualified, which means that it's in a tax deferred like a 401k or an IRA or a 403b or something like that. They also have $81,000 in non-qualified that they've already paid taxes on and that are already, they'll only pay the taxes on the gain. Now this is, as we go through this scenario, the numbers are going to be able to reflect this specific profile. But the principles apply to all demographic profiles. So whatever your profile is, the principles are the same. And we want to be able to look at what is your specific profile. When you open up the simulator, you end up with looking at a balance sheet. On the left, you have assets. In the middle of the loan one, you have liabilities. And so you know what your net worth. In this case, they have a net worth of $1.359 million. And so this gives you it automatically updates. So we would set this up so that you don't have to continually go in and update it like you would a spreadsheet. You would be able to set things up so that your investments would automatically update and things. Now so that you would not have to be able to spend a lot of time maintaining it, but you would be able to go in and look at it any time and find out, well, what's the status of where am I at? Where are we at in our life? We then create based upon the profile, a baseline retirement score. In this case, it shows that they have a 70% probability of success, that they would have enough money to go to age 90. Now, this probability of success is based upon, we run 1,000 scenarios. And so these 1,000 scenarios are distributed across, and it gives you a confidence factor on, well, how is that 70 determined? To read this dark blue line shows us where the highest probability is going to be of success. And this darker blue line is the 70%. It's 70% of 700 of the 1,000 scenarios are contained in this particular, right in here. Now you also have down here around age 78 to 80, there are some scenarios that say you could run out of money. And we look at these scenarios and we say, well, that's a possibility. It's a small possibility, 1 out of 1,000. But it's possibly there. But you also have some that says you're going to blow the top off and you never have to worry about anything. But we focus on what is the highest probability. You notice here at the end there's a steep decline. And that's because we always set the model up to say that if we are going to be able, most of us are going to have extended care living in near the end, and it's going to take a lot of money for that. So we want to make sure that that reality is projected in there. So what could we do to make this better? How could we improve that 70%? Just as a case in point, as to illustrate one thing we could do, we realigned 30% of the investment into a guaranteed income account. Now, since there was around $900,000, we took $300,000 and we put it into a guaranteed income account that was contractually guaranteed to give you 7% rate of return for 10 years. And that's under contract. So it's not something that is going to be volatile with the market. And so if you know the rule of 72, if you take the percentage of interest rate and you divide it into the number 72, it tells you how many years it will take to double your money. So if you have a 7% return, in 10 years, you will double your money. So the 30% investment will double, and we would have that money available then, and we wouldn't use that money for that 10 years and let it grow. Use the other 70% to make sure for the living for those 10 years so that you have this money set aside, double the amount of money for the back half of your retirement. What that did is that increased the probability score up to 78%. So when you look at this particular core, you see, first of all, there are no lines till late in life where there are even any scenarios that you would be worry about running out of money. It doubles the amount of investment, and so the 78% is now expanded here, and you still have some, but you still have this slope at the end. So this is in the beginning of an improvement to where now you're closer to where we want to be. We want people to be at an 80% probability as a minimum. So what else could we do? What we did is we aligned, we know that that drop off at the end is for extended care that we're going to probably need at the end of our life. So we have realigned some funds into a self-funded extended care account. By this case, for example, we simply took $100,000 of the 70% that was left, and we put it into an extended care account. And in this extended care account, we had, it works like this. You take the $100,000 and you put it into this health account, and it doubles in its money initially, or close to it. And then you can continue to actually add to it for inflation if you choose to. But this one doesn't. So you have that money available, and it is available for both partners to be able to use the money. So if both partners want to use it, the money would use up a little bit faster, but you would still have it available for both partners. If something happens that you pass before you need the money, it simply moves on to your beneficiaries, so you don't lose the money. Now, and also if you want to pull the money back out, if you're not going to use it and you think you want to use it in a different way, you simply pull it back out and you would typically get the whole $100,000 back. So it's a self-funded one. You know, when you do insurance premiums, you pay the premiums, and if you have a claim, you feel like, well, I got some money back on my premiums. But if you didn't, you feel like, well, it was nice that I had the protection, but I really didn't get anything for my premiums. In this way, you don't lose any money. The money is available. You're using your own money, and other people are putting money added to it so that it increases it. The probability score here, the confidence score, shows that there is no chances here on this particular scenarios where you would run out of money, and the same is still the same. And the slope of this line is a little bit less, simply because you have added money to your portfolio so that you could cover this specific problem. But there's a big wild card: retirement taxes, because retirement taxes are different than normal taxes that you pay during your working years. The biggest thing is timing matters when you're paying taxes on tax-deferred accounts, such as an IRA, a 401k, a 403b, something like that. And most financial advisors and agents are not trained in retirement tax planning that I have been able to be trained in. But let's take a look at another scenario just specifically for taxes. Now, this is Mike and Amanda. They're younger, 46 to 44, still want to plan expectancy to 90. They want to retire at age 65. They have $350,000 and $100,000 in salary. Their monthly expenses that for inflation, what they expect to pay would be around $10,000. So they have $500,000 in qualified 401ks and IRAs, and $500,000 non-qualified. So what a strategy we could use for tax smart savings for them is take $70,000 from a taxable income here and to be able to put $7,000 into an HSA, which is a health savings account. You could put $19,000 into a pre-taxed 401k and $4,000 or $6,000 in a backdoor IRA. And then $30,000 in a mega Roth. Now, what the Roth is, these are a little bit different. A Roth IRA, you are limited on the amount of money you can put into the Roth IRA, but there is a larger amount that if you're taking the money from a traditional IRA and moving it into a Roth IRA, you can put a larger amount of income, such as the mega Roth and the backdoor Roth. You would still have $8,000 in your taxable account for still a $70,000. So this strategy would do it for the tax benefits. But using this strategy alone, just shifting this money increased their probability score from 69% to 77%. And so that was just simply by moving existing money. Now, how this works out in the tax saving, this is a chart that shows that the top line up here is what they would have if they did not use the tax smart strategy. This is the amount of the income that the taxes that they're paying while they're working years. Once they retire, it drops way down, and then they are still paying taxes. This is when the required minimum distribution of their qualified accounts kicks in, and they end up paying this amount of money, and then it drops off at the end after they have paid all of their required minimum distribution. But if they were to use the tax smart strategy, it's the darker line on the bottom. And you can see that they paid less taxes now because they're sheltering some of the taxes. They still drop down, and they're paying less taxes all the way through for a total savings around $836,000 because that's how much they saved in taxes. So that's money that they still have in their account and that they are then using tax smart strategy to be able to just simply increase their money available. Now, I talked about the benefit of a Roth IRA conversion. This is a little bit more difficult to see, but as you can see, this is being an example, and this one is showing a tax bracket. Now, the tax bracket, of course, tells you what is directly affected by how much your taxes you're going to pay. But in this scenario, you have the amount of taxes that are being paid until they retire. And the normal retirement tax would be this lower line, and they would then be continuing and paying the higher amount until it dropped off. That would be the normal if you did not use an Roth IRA conversion. A Roth IRA conversion says that during these years, you would convert your 401k or an IRA into a Roth IRA so that you would actually pay the taxes now. You'd be paying more taxes during these few years here, but your rate tax bracket could stay lower throughout the rest of your life. And the end result here would be a savings strategy of about $1 million, simply because you kept your tax bracket lower. Now, of course, when you keep your tax bracket lower, then your Social Security you would not pay as much taxes on your Social Security because it would be taxed at a higher rate, as well as any other money that's your income that you had. So this is one of the strategies using both a Roth IRA conversion. And what you have also with the simulator is that you would have the ability of looking at what would my taxes look like, my 1040 look like for this year or any future year. I'm showing this is 2021, but you could also say select 2030, and it would show you the same thing, what the numbers are. What I would be able to do is then estimate specifically what it is. Now, this is not what you would put into your 1040, but you could use it as a comparison. It could use it as a guide. There are ways then that you can be able to understand based upon, as I'm making changes in my retirements, if I'm adding things or shifting things around, you can always go in and immediately look in and say, well, what's the effects on my taxes going to be, and how is that going to save it? But suddenly I realized I got a problem. Most companies provide their advisors and agents with computer simulation tools, and the companies can tailor the simulations to create the results that fit their portfolio, not necessarily what's best for us boomers. And boomers are still dependent and possibly vulnerable. We boomers need to have the capability to run our own retirement simulations and to create our own strategy before we talk to an advisor or agent about their products, so that in fact we already know what we want, what we need, and we are looking then for the best products that will be able to fit our needs, rather than having someone else convince us that, yeah, their product is really the best for us when we're really in the dark. So this puts us in control of our retirement future. I decided to provide boomers with two things. One, a retirement simulation tool that you can operate yourself. But also, I understand that there is some questions and concerns about that, so I would give you support resources to give guidance and backup to help you be successful. I don't want you, I know I've bought tools before where it seemed simple, it looked like it was obvious, but you get into them and you think, well, what do I do here? How do I change this drop down? Which one do I select? So you're never going to be on your own. You will have a support, and you will be able to then move forward to do it on your own if you choose, and then you can. Do you think that predicting your retirement future by increasing your probability of success from 70% to 95% and avoid worrying about going broke by running computer simulations from your own personal retirement simulator, do you think that would work for you? Let me ask you a question. How many of you have been intrigued by what we talked about? How many of you are feeling a little overwhelmed because we've covered so much? You're like drinking from a fire hose. Well, if it's okay with you, I'd like to spend a few minutes going over a very special offer I created to help you implement your personalized retirement simulator to predict your retirement future. I'm going to assume that it's okay with you, and so we'll kind of move on forward. You're probably thinking you could never have done anything like this, right? Well, actually, it's like running a computer application. You enter into the information, and presto, the simulator does all of the work. It's like magic. And so you're going to have to run the computer simulation. It simply does it for you. You put in the numbers and we make the changes. Create your own profile and run a simulator. We talked about, I've shown you a balance sheet. We'll talk about a profile a little bit. You get your retirement score that we've talked about, and a retirement plan with a confidence factor, your retirement tax plan forms. This is basically what you would get in creating and running your own private simulator. To do your personal profile, you simply put in, what is my family profile? For example, for each partner, what is their date of birth? When do we expect they retire? And some information about like that. You would put in some expense estimates. We don't go into a detail. You don't have to go in and say, well, how much do I think I'm going to spend for electricity and how much for gas? So we're just going to make some estimates and stuff because we know that it's a future and that we can adjust them. We put in the retirement savings. Those would be what's in your 401ks, your IRAs, and any other investment savings that you have for retirement. And we can be able to connect those up so that they automatically update. Expected income, we also put in, well, what do we think we're making? What are we making now? Are we going to be increasing until we retire? What do we project our Social Security? We can look at here, what is some optimum strategy for your Social Security? Most people say, well, we're going to do it at age 70. Just so you can get the most. That may not be the best for you. It may be best for you to take it at your full benefit period of age around 67, or even maybe it's most effective for you to take it at age 62. We'll look at that. We'll look at your retirement goals. What are some things you want to do in your retirement? And we'll look at your net worth. But it automatically incorporates any of the new laws. For example, when the new law for the retirement came out at the end of 2019, in less than a month, we had updated everything for the new. So it's simply, you just simply log in, and all of the new laws show you how you are affected. So if you were to go out and get this personalized retirement simulator yourself, you would be spending about $1,500. So it has a $1,500 value. You're probably thinking retirement is a long time and there's always a lot of changes, right? Well, actually, our team's going to stay connected with you. When you plan your retirement future, the retirement simulator automatically creates a dynamic retirement plan. As life changes, your plan is automatically updated. As life updates the information, and it will automatically plan an update. And it will continuously predict your retirement future. We talked about your plan. You would have to predict the success through simulations, analysis of scenarios. You would look at what your guaranteed extended plan. Those are some examples that we use. Predict your success. You would identify where's your stress points. and an optimum Social Security strategy that we talked about, but it also has create a health insurance or Medicare strategy. But you're eliminating paying for somebody to create this retirement plan for you, kind of like an estate plan, but it would be a retirement plan. And I went out and looked, and it costs around $6,000 to have a plan like this done for you. And as soon as it is done, if it is not electronic and automatically updated, it is simply obsolete. But you have an unending value then of $7,500. To simulate retirement taxes, we calculate your estimated taxes for all future years, as I showed you. You calculate your total required minimum distribution in multiple accounts. Let's say you had a 401k, two 401ks, and two IRAs, and you also had so each one of those accounts, they would send you and say, this is how much your required minimum distribution is for this specific account, and you'd have to add them all up together. Well, here you would have them all added together for you. Then you would identify what is the best accounts to pay the minimum distribution. Now, the IRS requires that you pay the money, but they don't care where you get the money from to pay that. They just simply, you have to take it from the accounts, obviously, but you could take it all from one IRA, for example. And so we could look at what is the best optimum tax strategy so that you can reduce your taxes overall and what is the best for you to going forward. We would rerun the simulator every year, but you eliminate paying for a tax planner. Now, that's different from a person that prepares taxes, but it's actually one that looks to the future and it helps you plan your taxes. You would be able to adjust your taxable income tax bracket, adjustable the various components. In this particular case, you have, well, how much would you be paying for your local taxes, how much for your state taxes, how much for your federal taxes, and your projected details for your terms. And you would be able to do it actually for 2020 right now, but you would eliminate paying for a tax planner, which typically costs about $2,000. So your total ending value is $9,500. But you're probably thinking, you're not techie enough, right? Well, actually, you're not alone, and I'll make sure that your personalized retirement simulator is set up and operating for your specific situation. We'll start with a 5-day quick start course where we'll walk through and set up your profile. We do it on separate days so that you can only need to spend 15 to 20 minutes, and you can go in and collect information as we go along so that you would have it all available for you, so that by the end of it, you will have completed all of your profile and run your initial simulations. We would then spend the next 2 or 3 weeks looking at various scenarios, like how do you lower your taxes, what is the stock market crash protection, and things like that. So this is one that you would have included. You would get all of this. But I understand that even this, as we're looking and maybe we're online doing a webinar and I'm showing you how to do that, you still may have some questions. And so I'm going to give you 2 30-minute personal coaching sessions that you have with me. And it's going to be me personally, and I will cut the time out and make sure that I'm available to be able to spend the 2 30-minute sessions with you and not just push you off to somebody else that you don't even know about. We'll cover the settings on your profile, review your current retirement score, and talk about some options for increasing your score, but make sure that you're comfortable with a retirement simulator. But it doesn't stop there. We're in this together. We do the initial training. We make sure that it's based on your specific situation and fine-tuned to fit your retirement dreams. But we'll also coordinate with our total team and get multiple perspectives and insights on what are some options that you have. But you will also have my team. It won't always be me, but you will have someone on my team that will give you periodic reviews, at least annually and more often if you like, throughout your retirement life. So we're going to stay with you together for the long haul. We want to make sure that you know you're not alone and you're not going to be just left. So in order, the masterclass and the personal sessions are valued at $1,498 for your total ending value of $10,998. But you're probably thinking your life and situations change continually, right? Well, actually, we're in this together for the long haul to make sure your plans stay current. We would have a retirement mastermind membership. That's what you will have. I have my retirement mastermind, and you will get an automatic membership to it. There we talk about what are the personal effects of any new laws that come out. What is some personal strategy for major events coming up, like the coronavirus? How does that affect you? The personal annual strategy alternatives as you're looking at your annual. How do you evaluate? What are you thinking? Some of the things based upon your stage of retirement, where you're at, what things are happening in your own life. What are some alternative strategies? And we're always continuing to update this retirement simulator, either by new laws or just by new features. And so we'll continually go through anytime there are updates, we will look at, well, how can you take more advantage of it to help you out in how does it affect you personally? If you get Microsoft Word or something and they send out a new update, in most cases, it doesn't really matter because you don't use that functionality anyway. We will look and see, well, does this new functionality or this new capabilities in the simulator, how does that help you? So it's a personalized event, but it's also a community event, so that you basically are part of a community, but yet it's personalized to yours. It's not just generalized information. So here's what you get. This Retirement Mastermind membership is $1,999 value for your total unending value of $12,997. I had two choices. I could go cheap and sell as many as possible without giving you the value, kind of leave you on your own. Or I could go slightly higher and dedicate more time, energy, and resources to help you be successful. So obviously, I'm not going to charge you $12,997, but if I did charge you that $12,997 as a one-time fee for over 20 years of simulations, and if all it did was help you avoid the worry of going broke in retirement, would it be worth it to you? If all this system did was to collect, automatically update, evaluate, calculate, and manage your retirement finances each year for your retirement for 20 years, would it be worth a one-time fee of $1,500 for the cost of the simulator? Would that be worth it? If all the system did was to simulate your finances for your entire retirement, create a retirement plan, and update it each year for 20 years, would it be worth a one-time fee of $6,000 to you? If all the system did was simulate estimated taxes and create a tax plan and update it each year for your retirement for 20 years, would it be worth a one-time fee of $2,000 for you? If you had your personalized retirement simulator today that was taking the guesswork out of your future, what would it be worth to you? You've already seen that it's worth $12,997 in value. And if I were to charge $1,300, which is 10% investment that is typically charged, it would be a great deal. But because I want to help as many as possible avoid the worry of going broke in retirement and still stack value, I'm going to give you a special offer. You can get immediate access today to your retirement simulator and access for life for only a one-time fee of $997. But for the first 50 people, I'm even going to give you a better deal. I'll cut it in half. For $497, one-time fee, and you would be able to have the full access of everything, and all you have to do is simply click the button. And you would get this money back probably in this year's taxes. You would reduce it down. So on the right-hand side, there's a button you can click and put in that will give you put in the information that you need to be able to invest in this. You've got two choices. You could do nothing. If you do nothing with all the information we've talked about, what do you get? Nothing. Choose to take a leap of faith, just test it out and get visibility in your retirement future. Make your best decisions. All you have to do is click the button on the right. But I'm so confident that you'll be totally satisfied with your retirement simulator and your partnership with me that if you are not satisfied, I will refund the total amount. I only ask that you attend the masterclass and the personalized sessions so that we make sure that you've got a good understanding of how it can benefit for you. But the guarantee is, I don't want to make things disappointing for you. I don't want to make life more difficult for you. So I would be happy to just refund you the money. All you have to do, though, to get started is just simply click the button on the right. The real question is it worth taking a few minutes of your time to check this out? Even if it only does half of what I've claimed today, it will pay for itself as soon as you calculate your taxes this year. To get started, simply click the button on the right. So here's what what you get. You get the personalized retirement simulator at a $1,500 value. You get a retirement plan and annual updates for a $6,000 value. You get tax strategy and annual updates for $2,000 value. You get the masterclass and personalized sessions for $1,498 value. And you can get a membership in the retirement mastermind for $1,909 value for a total ending value of $12,997. So here's all that you're going to get. And to get started, you just simply click on the button. Act today. We start the masterclass soon. Now is the time to get ready to prepare your taxes. So simply click on the button to get started. Be able to predict your retirement future, to be able to understand and get visibility. Take your $12,997 value for a one-time fee of $997. And if you're the first 50 people, $497. But the key is avoid worrying about going broke. Get the visibility you need. Simply click on the button. I'm excited to be able to be available to help you, to be able to make your life more predictable, and to be able to make your life more content. We'll look forward to talking to you. God bless.